Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to go down this rabbit hole again. We're going to talk about YouTube, academia, journalists, and how they tend to label everyone they don't like as being alt-right.
You're not allowed to label people unless we're labeling you.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. We've been talking about this before because basically any channel that calls out some of the biases in the mainstream media, even if the channel's run by liberals, they're called alt-right to the point where the alt-right and the far-right don't mean anything anymore. No. The term Yahtzee doesn't mean anything anymore.
Which is
because
a disservice to those who actually were abused by real Yahtzees. Yeah,
so we're going to talk about that. This article on the Wall Street Journal, which was actually sent to me by my friend Warren, who kicked it over, and we took a look at it, and we're like, yeah, we need to talk about this because we've been on the receiving end of this ourselves, that our channel has been called alt-right, even though we're not right-wingers, that we've been called Yahtzees, we've been called all these names, and it's basically trying to label dissenting voices.
Right.
They're trying to make sure that you don't step out of line, you don't listen to the wrong thinkers, you only listen to what academia and by extension journalists want you to listen to because, most of these journalists are manufactured in academia and then they move into the media and they bring that ideology with them.
Right.
And they don't like it when people dissent. So before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 165,000 subs. Thank you. Thank you for supporting our little far-right channel.
Right. And Happy New Year to those who have been in 2021 already.
Yeah, it's like you're in a time warp. Like you're ahead of us, so you're actually
yes. And maybe by the time some of you listen to this, it'll be 2021.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, this article was on the Wall Street Journal talking about how Lou Perez, who is a comedian on YouTube, is finding himself being labeled as alt-right, for his comedy, because we can't laugh anymore because laughter always comes at the expense of underprivileged people.
That's right. It's always because it's bad. But they're okay. It's okay of them to mock you. That's fine. If you don't like it, this is because you're an incel and a man baby.
Yeah. Now, disclaimer, I guess, according to Transparency Tube, which is a garbage, garbage website run by academia. By the way, we've done videos on Transparency Tube in the past, and they're basically trying to categorize YouTubers and put them into political categories.
Right, and when they were looking for reviewers, they were advertising on Twitter, which has a clear bias. So we are considered right and anti-woke. The anti-woke I'll give you. The right, by one manual review. We have disputed this. We've asked it to be removed. Other YouTubers asked their sites to be removed, and they were. Yeah, but they refused still to remove ours.
Well, we called them out big time, and they got
call them out again.
Call them out again. It's Transparency Tube. It's a garbage website. Creator disputes this classification.
Still do.
Still do. Go to hell, Transparency Tube. But what they do is they try to divide all of these YouTube channels into right and left wing, even if they don't talk about politics. And there are some people in here that don't even talk politics at all.
And they're not even from America, so they don't even have the same American politics that they're dividing them by.
Right, right. And we have a lot of, folks like Joe Rogan in here.
Yeah, anti-woke I won't dispute.
Yeah, anti-woke, yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. But that's the thing. There's no nuance. You can be against a lot of the, oversensitivity today, and a lot of the newspeak that's coming out of academia, but still consider yourself a liberal, which I think we do.
Well, yeah, we were always left, center, left.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, they're saying that we're right because they decided, because one reviewer said so. One reviewer they found on Twitter.
And that's kind of the gist of what's going on here. This guy found himself being labeled alt-right.
And of that, how many videos did they watch? Did they cherry pick the videos that leaned with the way they wanted to review it as? Or did they actually go watch every video to make a fair, fair classification?
They probably found one or two videos that they didn't like. They
didn't like the headlines and then labeled it right.
Right, and that's what they do. They actually, with Transparency Tube, we asked them how they decided, and they said part of it was audience, and part of it was the titles of your videos.
Right. So an audience, you could be a left-leaning individual, but if your audience tends to lean right, then you're labeled right, even though you are not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So he found himself in this paper. And this is where all of this originates from, is academia. This is where these ban lists come from and all that. And these journalists, go to these colleges, they become indoctrinated, they go out into the media, and they bring the ideology with them.
They were doing this shit when I went to college.
Oh yeah, but people were smarter then, and they didn't listen. They're like, okay,
they were starting to. I remember.
Whatever. So he said he's been put on a list, and not a good one. It's not the Hollywood Reporter's Next Gen Class of 2020 or a Forbes list.
30 under 30. Can I just say for a minute, you can submit yourself to the Forbes list of 30 under 30. We know one douchebag who did it and is trying to make himself out to be this big deal when they are not a big deal. And they 100% submitted themselves.
That is true. That is true. You can't believe everything you read.
Don't listen to all the buzz.
Anyway, he said he would much rather be on that list than be labeled far right in an academic paper entitled Evaluating the Scale, Growth, and Origins of Right-Wing Echo Chambers on YouTube.
Wait, but the left invented echo chambers.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
And academia
do we have another paper evaluating the scale and growth and origins of left-wing echo chambers on Twitter?
No, we don't.
Why don't we?
Well, we should, but we don't.
We should.
So he said that even though his name is not there, his channel is on there.
It doesn't even matter if you are, just because some people that watch you are.
Right. So We the Internet TV was huddled among other supposedly far-right YouTube channels.
It's funny.
I was head writer and producer of the We the Internet TV channel before my position was eliminated in October. For 5 years, I was responsible for making hundreds of videos about current events, politics, and culture. I was an equal opportunity offender.
As you should be.
Yeah, our comedy made fun of everybody, left, right, and center.
As you should.
And he talks about how back in the day, if somebody was offended by something on Saturday Night Live, they had to go through an awful lot of effort to cancel a person. Look at George Carlin. It's very hard to cancel George Carlin because you would have to do like a write-in campaign. You'd have to get a hold of a TV executive.
Oh, first, because you should. What you should have done was just put your damn big boy, big girl, big non-binary pants on, and then moved on with your life.
You're assuming that I can wear pants.
That's true.
Don't assume. But now they said with Twitter, online outrage mobs can be whipped up in seconds.
Whether it's based on fact or otherwise.
And he said, well, which video did it? Was it burglars for gun control? Your gun makes you look like a dick. The videos lambasting the alt-right or anti-Antifa ones. The sketches critical of Obama's drone strikes, or the last one mocking the YouTube commenters leaving racist insults. Which one? Because he said, we made fun of everybody.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They're cherry picking what they want to go by.
Yeah, and he said, I don't know. I've never faced my accusers. They basically just threw me onto this, into this mix here and said these are the bad ones.
And they wouldn't answer. I mean, we kept asking about Transparency Tube. Eventually, they stopped answering.
Yeah.
Because take us off. Take us off.
They stopped answering.
Everybody called about take them off. They won't take us off.
Instead, the pussies at Transparency Tube.
Well, that's offensive to pussies.
Yeah, they just said we dispute it.
Don't compare the two.
We fiercely dispute being on your garbage platform. But
by your one manual reviewer.
By your one manual reviewer. At first, he found it odd that the words fascism, racism, terrorism were missing from the paper because those terms have become linked to the far right. Then I realized it was a smart and cowardly move on the part of the authors to leave them out. Just use the umbrella term far right.
That's what they've been doing.
Yep.
But then some of the fascism they're accusing everybody else of, and the terrorism they're accusing everybody else of, and the racism they're accusing everybody else of, they themselves have been demonstrating.
Yeah.
Those terms are either side at this point, guys.
Yep. So they're talking about a lot of look at this. Mark Ledwich was one of the paper's authors. Mark Ledwich is the guy
Transparency Tube.
Behind Transparency Tube. Mark Ledwich is an asshole.
Yes.
Yeah. So get this. He wanted to know what was going on because he said, he was lumped in with Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan's...
So are we, dude. We're lumped in with all these people.
But Joe Rogan's actually liberal. If you listen to Joe Rogan, he's an old school liberal.
If you listen to us, we're old school liberals too.
So he said, even Mark Ledwich, whom the paper's authors thank for sharing data with them, took issue with the way the labels were converted into far right and far left. To wit, on his site Transparency Tube, I didn't know Transparency Tube was mentioned, which tracks political channels on YouTube. We the Internet TV only scored right and anti-woke.
Same as us, dude. Same as us.
Lumping together all these creators with vastly different political persuasions is lazy At worst, it undermines criticism of actual far-right content.
Or far left content.
Yeah, if everything is far-right, nothing is. Of course, he's also considered far-right. So so this is exactly, I didn't even know that Transparency Tube was mentioned.
You couldn't even remember the name. I was going to remember. I was like, what about that stupid site? What was it? Transparency Tube?
Oh my God. So I said back when this happened that academics and journalists were going to latch on the Transparency Tube.
That's what he wants. He wants the attention.
Yeah, but they're using it for papers now.
We said this is going to happen.
They're using it for data for academic papers. For
literal blacklists. I'm sorry, you don't have to say that. For literal lists of people that you should, block for no reason just because some dipshit needle neck said so.
Deny lists. And when we said Transparency Tube was dangerous at the beginning, this is exactly what we were talking about, where you got people. So this guy, Lou Perez, if somebody makes the erroneous connection, says, oh, this guy's far right because he worked on a channel that Transparency Tube said was far right, and these academics ran with this faulty information, and he winds up losing a job over it or something.
They're not really academics then, are they?
They're not.
Because they're not doing their due diligence.
Hell, most academics aren't academics anymore.
I know. I'm just,
but I'm just,
the obvious.
I mean, this is ridiculous. But look, we know that they've been gunning for YouTubers. So this is just last year, the New York Times, they put Phil DeFranco on here, he's not right wing at all. It was some other guys here, and a lot of these channels I would not consider right wing. Okay, fine, I'll give you Crowder, give you Milo, but a lot of these people I would not consider right wing or far right. But I love how the drama. Caleb Kane was a college dropout looking for direction. He turned to YouTube.
Oh my God. This is going to rank up with the mother in the back with her kids that are turning. Okay.
Soon he was pulled into a far-right universe watching thousands of videos filled with conspiracy theories, misogyny, and racism.
If I want to go look for conspiracy theories, misogyny, and racism, I'll just read the far-left comments on Twitter.
I was brainwashed.
Oh my God. I can't even.
The Making of a YouTube Radical by Kevin Roose on the New York Times.
All this is, okay, I'm going to tell you straight out. The New York Times and mainstream media are downright threatened by YouTube because, quite frankly, people are turning to YouTube because they're sick and tired of the biased bullshit that they're calling mainstream media. They are tired of it. They are tired of the lies and they're tired of the crap. So they're going to YouTube. So what's going on is the people that are like really center or, that are making sense, they're out there trying to paint them as extremist radicals, even though they're not, trying to get you to go back to read their shit. And so now they're like, I was radicalized. I was all this stuff. YouTube's terrible. Read the New York Times instead. We're not biased, even though, we're like one of the most biased things out there. And there was whole articles of people who worked at the Times, weren't there? About how their co-workers were going we're ratting them out and getting them booted.
Yeah.
It is a conspiracy theory. Here you go. These mainstream media outlets, of course, are painting all the YouTubers into a bad light because they are pissed that they're taking their money and their views.
Yeah. New York Times is hanging on by its fingernails. A lot of these journalists are, and most of the attacks you're going to find are from journalists working for these papers who know that their $100,000+ a year jobs are in jeopardy as YouTube blows up. And we're going to do another video talking about YouTube.
Fix it. Just be honest.
Yeah, right.
Problem solved. Be honest.
But I love it. It's so dramatic. This is like the moral panic in the early 1980s.
Yeah, that's what this reminds me of.
Dungeons and Dragons. That's what this reminds me of. I fell down the alt-right rabbit hole, this young man said. I just kept falling.
Vaseline?
Yeah, I kept falling deeper and deeper into this, and it appealed to me because it made me feel a sense of belonging. I was brainwashed.
This is funny because they have actually done papers on this about the fact that what happens with these extremists, and mostly on the left, is that they go and find people who feel like they're disenfranchised, that they aren't accepted anywhere, and they offer them acceptance. Because when you offer somebody who doesn't have acceptance, they will do whatever the hell you ask them, is their opinion. It's really sad how they just minimize people to this, and then they'll go out and they'll be your warriors and your soldiers to go out and rat out their friends and all that stuff. And yeah, extremists do it on both sides, but you're seeing it a lot on Twitter, especially with far left people. And so basically everything they're saying, you literally can flip it to the other side and you can make the exact same damn argument. So it's a mirror image of the same damn thing.
God, I love this.
Extremism is bad in general.
Yeah,
Problem solved.
We mostly talk about cartoons and comic books, and somehow we're pulled into this
Extremism
bullshit.
is bad, whether it's right or left.
I love this, though. Some young men discover far-right videos by accident, while others seek them out. Some travel all the way to neo-Nazism, while others stop at milder forms of bigotry.
Want to talk about bigotry? I love this. Some of the most bullshit, bigoted, Islamophobic behavior I've seen as of late has been from far-left people on Twitter.
Yeah.
They go on about it being accepting, and that you need to, like, oh, we love these cartoon shows where you have to hug it out, and acceptance is what's, is the key to everything, as they are the least accepting. Most bullying, telling people to kill themselves because they didn't draw a character they wanted or whatever. They are some of the most racist.
It gets worse. According to Mother Jones, the right-wing YouTube empire is quietly turning millennials into conservatives.
Because you know what? They spent so many years in the colleges trying to make sure they turned them into...
Yeah.
They're mostly centrists.
But it does come down to, and we're going to do another video talking about this in regards to children's entertainment. This is basically the mainstream media being threatened by a new platform.
That's exactly what it is.
That doesn't have the gatekeeping involved. It doesn't have the greased palms. It's anybody can get onto YouTube and spout off opinions. Now, do I agree with all those opinions? Hell no.
No.
Hell
but
no.
It seems like
now, where there are actually celebrities now are starting to realize that this cancel culture
it reminds me of people like, yes, that's right, riot, loot, do all those bad things, but don't do it in mine. No. Right or left. Most people aren't the extremists.
Was going to happen. We told you guys months ago that, you think it's a joke.
Anything would take one person's opinion as fact.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it. They can use algorithms, but as I point out again, as I did before, algorithms written by this guy who has out based on one person, it's always going to be biased. And then your reviewers, ours is labeled by one manual review.
Yeah.
By cherry picked.
Yeah. It's
still on there.
It's a garbage site. And if
it's biased and full of shit.
Yeah. And now it's being used in academic papers, which
we knew was going to happen.
Shows you how Perez wraps this up. He says, I can't speak for all those other radical YouTube channels, but when it came to We the Internet TV, its growing appeal had a lot to do with it being funny.
Yes. It's these leftist, even extreme far right voices. They're just flipping out. So they're going to use whatever they can to try to paint.
Is the biggest competitor to every other media entity on the planet.
Who's good and who's bad, who's an ist and who's not. So of course they're going to be upset when people aren't going to them for what, for you to tell them what's what. That's why they're mad that we worked really hard to, or far right, oh my God. They act like you're going to a cult.
All over again. Mm-hmm. This is in video games. They came out, now they mix it all up. Now they've got calling for bans, calling for cancellations. Get that show off of TV because they showed too much skin. Oh my God, we can't have gay people kissing. Dungeons and Dragons is literally summoning demons in the basement and all this other stuff. And here we are. And it's the left that's doing it. Mm-hmm. So
just be honest.
Yeah, just be honest. And they're going to go away eventually.
There's no key to it.
They only have the power people give them, but it is troubling that Transparency Tube, which is a nothing site with very, very little
and they tried to argue that it wasn't meant for that. But he's going out there and making sure it's being used for that.
Yes, he is, isn't he?
Because you asked him, and there was one thing he said, it wasn't meant to be used for that.
He claims, no, this is what he's doing. He's basically, my opinion of Mark Ledwich, having watched him, he did an interview, I guess, on a couple different channels. He did interviews. Watching him he's absolutely providing academia with the bullets, but then he steps back and he's like, oh no, I didn't fire the gun.
That's right. He's one of those, he makes the bullets and has somebody else fire them.
Yeah, so he's a coward.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's a coward. He wants to punish these, in my opinion, and he's going to play it down the middle, but there's no other reason.
You're allowed to play it down the middle. We try to play it down the middle. We're still, on the right.
Yeah.
We are anti-woke, though.
Yeah, I'll give that.
And they can be mutually exclusive, by the way.
They can be, because wokeness has gotten stupid. It's gotten really, really stupid. And
I'm for rights and I'm for acceptance. I'm just not for the ridiculousness.
Yeah. So are we going to wrap this one up?
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants from this nasty far-right channel. It talks about cartoons and comic books and anime and Disney.
That's how they tell if they pro or against Luke Skywalker. If they're pro Luke Skywalker, they have to be crazy alt-right.
Absolutely. Gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
See you later.
Bye.